Will Santos.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the studio corner, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thanks
Pleasure.
for coming on. I'm super stoked for this. I had to cut you off, like 10 seconds ago because you
Oh.
were going off on a rant about all the stuff I want
Yeah.
on the episode.
I get pretty passionate, man. It's cool, man.
That's good. That's what this is for. So, for the sake of getting to know you
Okay.
on a level of what you do and your
Okay.
creative side and the passionate side, I want to approach this as I'm an artist. I come to you in your
Okay.
studio, and I want to go through every step of the process, starting with the artist introduction.
Okay. So normally the way that would work is, I'm a tracking and mixing engineer. I also do mastering work, but I wouldn't generally consider myself
Yeah.
a mastering engineer. But if you're an artist and you come to me, one of the first questions I ask is, are you working on original production? Is this something that I'm going to have to maybe email the producer, or you might have to get the stems from them as far as the production? Because nowadays a lot of stuff is like, well, it's on YouTube. You're downloading YouTube beats, or you're downloading
Yeah.
SoundCloud beats and stuff like that. Like that's kind of the culture now for the hip hop, R&B, pop, like the urban genre. So then once we get through that, it's a matter of, okay, well, how many hours do you think you will need to get this record from point A to point B? Whether it's 2 hours, 4 hours, or etc. We discuss a time, set a date. You come to the studio, and if I've just met you, is the first time I ever record you, I'm probably gonna run your voice through a couple of my preamps to see which one you sound best with. I have been blessed to have an amazing mic locker, so I have 8 to 10 mics that I can choose from. Just by hearing your voice or hearing just a couple takes, I can pinpoint what microphone would be a good combo with this EQ and this compressor. Once we get that, we get you sounding right, we go ahead and do the recording process. And then after that, it's a matter of, if you're happy with your performance. Like, my job is to get the absolute best performance, that even when you leave the studio that night, I want you to be just super duper happy with, what you left behind at the studio, and just be pumped to come back.
I like that, what you left behind.
Yeah, of course. And then
Awesome.
after that, after all the recording gets done, it's a matter of doing the mixing. And then after the mixing, if there's no revisions,
Yeah.
we move on to the mastering stage, if I'm also being hired for that part of the process.
Okay, so, damn, that was incredibly, obviously you do this all the time, so it was planned out.
Of course.
But for the artist introduction, if someone comes to you, and, obviously it's what you do for a living, and you want to, be able to accept every artist that comes in.
Right.
Say an artist comes in and say, hey, I wrote this song.
Okay.
I don't have any, outside sources. I just been working on my laptop and whatnot. What are positive signs and what are red flags before you
think-
accept them?
I would look at let's start with the positive sign. If you email me first, if you reach out to my email, that means you either saw my Instagram or someone gave you my information, and you took the time to email me and just present yourself. Get kind of like you're kind of introducing yourself to someone that's that you want to work on your project. So it's like, hey, my name is so and so. I'm from so and so. I make this kind of music. I was wondering, what your rate is. I was wondering where your studio is. Like when I read a email like that, I get off to it feels like things get off to a good start. But if you DM me like, yo, how much for stew time?
You're like,
Then exactly. Then it's kind of like, it's almost like you didn't get off on the right foot. It's almost like, how serious can this person be if it's as detailed as like, yo, how much for stew time? One, I
Yeah.
don't know your name. I don't know what kind of music you make. What if I only record rock bands?
yeah.
What if I only record hardcore metal and
Yeah.
you're in the rap, hip hop? Most likely, we'll probably have to turn that project down, right? I might, send you. But if you email me and say, hey, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I make, here's a link of some of my music, check me out. I know your studio is here. Are you available this day? To me, that's like someone that's serious, maybe someone that's been doing it for a while, and you just get an overall good first impression, and
Yeah.
it just makes you want to work with that person. Like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let me check this out. Let's see how we can work together and build.
Yeah, so the approach is everything.
The
man.
approach to me is
Dude,
completely everything.
let me tell you, that is so fucking good to hear. I mean, I don't run a professional studio,
Okay.
but I run this podcast, and I get people DMing me all the time. Like, everyone is a bedroom musician, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I think my band should come on the show. That's literally the message I get. I've gotten that 100 times, and it is the most frustrating fucking thing I've ever gotten. Because I'm like, all right, let's back up. Let's start from the beginning
Yeah.
here. First off, who the hell are you? Secondly, why should I have you on the show, let alone your band?
Correct.
And if you've read anything that I've talked about, posted about, on my website, on my Instagram, on anything, it's not about promoting your music.
Yeah.
It's about, building the creative community. And I get that message. And so what I started doing is, I think I did it too. I was like, give me a reason why.
Yeah, of course.
I was already planning on having you on. I was pretty stoked on it, to be honest.
That's it. And I think it separates from the people that do their homework and don't do their homework.
Exactly.
There's some people that as soon as they email me, they're like, how do you like the files to be sent? Am I going to WeTransfer it? Am I going to send it through a zip? Do you want all WAV files?
Yeah.
Just things that just make the whole, transaction and transition like smoothly.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times I've gotten, yo, what's good with the stew? Yo, 2 hours, how much, bro? And let's say I do entertain those conversations like 2, 3, 4 years ago. You're trying to trying to see if you want to book this session.
Yeah.
And you keep going down the line, and it dead end.
Happens, yeah.
Either one, they stop replying because you give them your rate, or they're not serious enough, and they hit you up 3 days later like, yo, bro, my bad, I forgot to hit. You get
it
what
doesn't work. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't work that way.
So those kind of conversations normally are dead ends. But the ones that actually, and even if you DM me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, but you literally like approach it and like, hey, this is me, this is what I am, what's your rate, this is what I'm aiming for, can you get me there, that kind of stuff to me. I went through your website, I checked some of your work, and they named specific things that they heard that I worked on. To me, is like, that person is serious. They're person wants to work. Exactly. Yeah. And if they're that way, then I'm interested. Like, I want to work with you.
Same thing with booking gigs too. It's like, people send, these messages like, oh my goodness, I would love to play your venue. It's everything to me.
Yeah.
Like, they get fucking thousands of emails a day. Like, you literally send. I had a guest a few weeks back. One of my earlier guests, it was a duo band.
Okay.
And they were talking about how they book gigs in Hollywood because they're playing in Hollywood, the Troubadour and the Roxy all the time.
Troubadour, okay.
And I'm like, it's not easy to continuously play there.
Not at all.
And they're like cold emails. Cold fucking emails. You look up their website, you find out the dates that they're open, you send, this is the times that I would like to play, I'll sell this many tickets. You tell them everything they need to hear before you even like get a response. And it's like the same thing what you're talking about. It's like, do your homework, hit me up for what I'm offering, not just like, hey, so like I had this idea, maybe I want to record a track sometime.
Exactly.
It's like, fuck that shit.
Yeah, I've had even people that tell me like, oh, like we get down pretty much to already booking the day, the this and that, and then they're like, wait, I didn't know your studio was here. Oh,
what?
I
Isn't the whole point of finding a studio, finding where it is?
I live 4 hours away, man. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's just that whole process I feel like artists should take and just, really be better at, because it can lead to amazing working, relationships for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a professional side to it that I feel like people have forgotten about because they're so excited about their image, which is fine. Like, I'm not about that.
Right.
But like, people want to build images, want to build a brand, however they're going to do it. But at the end of the day, if they're going to, they'll freaking, you work in the top level of what it takes.
Yeah.
You work in the studio.
Yeah.
Where everything counts.
Everything.
You have to be the best.
Of course.
You have to be the best at what you do and how you're doing it. You can't fuck up. You don't get to, slip up, and you're on time limit.
Yep.
The studio, put a microphone in front of someone and watch them change.
No.
Everything about them. And so it's like you have to reach that level of professionalism to work. So
I tell my girlfriend, actually, is like, sometimes you get so many different people with different personalities. You have to know how to manage all that, how to speak to certain people. There's some people that you can joke around with because you've built a rapport for 5-6 years. There's some people that are very serious, and maybe a certain joke or a certain comment might tick them off, which will then affect the performance of the song.
Yeah.
And then, or maybe be so bad that you will no longer conduct business with that client.
Yeah.
So I tell people, it's like, imagine that, like, you have someone that came from this background and came from that background or from this religion, from that, like stuff like that. For me, it's like, you really have to be a people's person on top of just being really good at what you do.
Yeah.
You have to be a people's person, because I think that is what makes your clients come back. I mean, you can have the best quality, you can have the most amazing looking studio and the most amazing experience, which for me, of course, it's super important.
Yeah.
But being a people person and just being a person that people want to be with in a room.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be working long hours together. So if your presence isn't really wanted or liked, then it's not gonna work, man.
Especially when you're demanding someone to perform at a level like that, but also requiring them to be emotional.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's
that's a wild. I mean, it's wild to think about.
A lot of it goes into it than just like, here's a microphone, you can sing,
do your thing.
I know how to record, do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's way more than that.
Which is what most people like to assume it is until they get in there.
Of course, yeah.
It's what a wild ride. So do you base? I mean, it sounds like it's a personal experience thing from what you said, but when you're bringing artists in, when you're trying to decide who they are and how you're going to work with them, now that knowledge that you have, is that just from experience working on your own, or is that like a something among studios? Something
No,
that's just known?
that's I've never interned at another studio. Like, I never went the route of, usually if you're an engineer, I would probably say maybe 15, 20 years ago, then the traditional journey or route was, you either go to school for it, and then after you graduate, or if you don't go to school, you just call a bunch of studios and like, hey, do you guys need an intern? And generally that means you're getting coffee, you're wrapping mic cables, you're organizing things in the studio, you're just watching, etc. Right? So the thing was, when I started, coming up in the music scene, that was all kind of going away. A lot of big studios were closing down. Things were going digital. Like the home studio started to really make a name for itself. And because of that, when I would call studios, not that I didn't try, they would all say, we don't need interns. We don't need interns. We don't need interns. Like, some of them, I'm guessing, were just trying to like grind it out day to day to stay available with open doors. Yeah. So pretty much got shut down by every single studio. Wow. And then there's a guy that was like, hey, call me back in 2 months. I actually might need one. I called back, and it was like, no, we don't need. I was being persistent, man. Yeah. I was honest. Not that I didn't try. So then I went, you know what? This whole scene is kind of shifting in a way. And that's when the whole, my first interface came into play, and home studio. And then after that, it became just trial and error. And then it just built enough experience that it's like you train your ears to hear. There's times when my clients are like, how did you hear that? They're like, wait, what? And then studio I mute it, and then they're like, whoa, that is there. So it's just, trial and error, man.
Studio ears, man. It messes up your ability to listen to music on your free time, right?
Oh, jeez. Yeah. If you have your engineer hat at all times, it almost gets hard.
You have to.
Dude, I would have done something different to that snare. I don't know, man. Like, that snare's too loud, or that snare's not loud enough. Or
you say that in front of someone that doesn't, know,
like,
exactly. What the fuck?
I'm telling you, my girlfriend hates, like, when we take little road trips, she hates playing music. Like, she'll give me the aux that says, you play something. Like, I don't want to play my music, because then you're just going to judge it.
You're going to rip it to shreds.
You're listening to this, oh, this kick is horrible. Or, like, or this vocal is just way too sibilant. Like, just stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, no, I'm not an engineer today. I'm just
gonna listen.
A casual fan, but can't make any promises though.
Yeah, you can't make those promises. It's difficult. So an artist comes in, you guys vibe well. Yeah. You guys say, and they basically say, like, I come in, I say, hey, look, I got all the time in the world. What do you think is best? So I say, hey, I want to record 2 songs, a little demo. I want them fully produced by you, fully mixed by you, and fully, engineered. Right. Released. What's my schedule weekly? If I can come in every day, any day, what are you gonna give me?
So if you come, do you have like a certain production already laid out, or how's that work?
I show up and I say, I got I'm a guitar player, but you do more urban stuff. So
yeah, of course.
So if I come in, I say, hey, I got a beat and a melody and lyrics.
Okay. So what I would do is, like, I tell them, it's like, I'm more of a guy that I let the client literally try to get everything that is just in his head, get it out. Because sometimes I feel like some of them have an issue where they might not think this certain melody will work, so they won't tell you. So I try and get them as comfortable as they can be, so that they can share these ideas with me. There's some times where they'll be like, what do you think about this? That's not, you don't think it'll sound good, right? And I'm like, let's try it. Yeah. Like, I'm always like, let's try it. In the digital world, you have so many tracks. It's like, it's a matter of I can delete it in one click, or we can both look around and be like, whoa, that's dope. So for me, especially if I'm meeting you for the first time, it's really important that I make you as comfortable as you can. So I'm trying to find out stuff about you. Do you want water? Are you all right? Are you a tea person? Are you gonna sing? You want some coffee? Are you comfortable? Is the temperature of the AC too cold? Is it too hot? Would you rather, instead of being in the booth, do you want to sing in front of me? Do you like that? Like, all that to me is super important, because that's gonna make them feel like this is a place where I want to record. Because sometimes it's vulnerable for them, man. Like, just singing in front of someone you don't know, and maybe it's a love song. Maybe it's about a heartbreak. Maybe it's about, a tough relationship with a father or a mother or a sister or a brother. And it's something that sometimes you might not get the best performance just because they don't feel as comfortable around you. So I think setting that boundary of like, let's put the walls down, let's feel comfortable, I'm here to get the best performance out of you, and just building that confidence within themselves to just give you the best performance you can possibly get.
So you do like, I mean, it almost sounds like you're doing some artist development before you.
In a way, I actually, that's something I really, really love to do. I think this is the reason why, you know, I have a lot of my clients, I've been working with them for 6, 7, 5 years.
Wow.
And we've done projects together, EPs, singles. You know, we go out to eat together before sessions or in between sessions. Like we have that kind of rapport. You know, I've met some of their family members. Actually was one of my clients. I was at last summer. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was at his wedding.
Oh wow.
He lived out here and moved over there. He invited me to his wedding. Said I had to be a part. I said, how can I miss?
Shit, man, that's how it should be.
My girl and I went out there. Luckily, my girlfriend's older sister lives out there, and the venue was like, kid you not, like 15 minutes from where she lived. So she got to see her family and her sister. I got to go to my client's wedding. So
double whammy.
It's to me like, and I've been working with him since 2012. So you know, to me, stuff like that is it's definitely beautiful for sure.
That's great. I love that because I mean, I feel like I've run into this personally, meeting engineers or mixers, whatever, in any job in the studio world where they come and they go. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do this job for you, no problem. Tell me what you want, I'll get it done, and then disappear. Right. And it's like, I think people forget along the way, like regardless of how good the tracks sound, regardless of how tight everything is, like we forget that we may write the song, but bringing people like you into the music, it's like it's the next step to. It might as well be just as important as writing the damn song. And to build that sense of community, to build that sense of like, friendship and those relationships, that's, of course. I mean, may not have nothing to do with the song, but the song itself is just going to be that much better.
Of course. I've had, R&B singers that, actually were kind of, dealing with something where they felt like maybe the song wasn't good enough, or maybe it wasn't on the right production or whatnot, and we've kind of like sat down, talked about it, we built it from the ground up, recorded it, etc., and then I mixed and mastered it, and they come to the studio to come check it out and hear the final product, and they just hear the song and they just cry, dude. Wow. So to me, it's like, can you imagine how powerful that is? That's like incredible. It all started in someone's head, right? And they probably even had, they had insecurity about maybe their voice or the melody or how strong the song was, but they know they really wanted to record it, and put it, put it on wax. And for them to do all that, and we're just working on it. Like this song took, I would say, like maybe almost a month, just working hard on it. And then you play it in front of them and they just cry. Like, to me, it's like, those are some of the moments that just like really tell me like, this is what you're doing it for. It's like sometimes you have those moments because, in this music industry, it's tough, dude. You go through ups and downs. And
it's ruthless.
Sometimes you feel like you're in the downs a lot longer than you are in the ups. So it's like when you get a moment like that and you're just like, wow, like it was that powerful. Like she heard her own music. Wow. Something we worked on together and it just made her bawl. Like it's crazy for sure.
So you have I guess you could call yourself a writer, producer, whatever it is, depending on the song and the project. But you have a huge, you like to play that role. You like to come in and do that.
Exactly. Side. As I've made my name in this career, I like that kind of stuff because I feel like I've seen a lot. So I know it's almost like when you've went a certain route every single day for the past 10 years. Yeah. Around what time there's going to be traffic. That this light takes longer than that light. Yeah. It's like, so when you get to that point, I feel like when an artist invites you into their creative process, because I always said, I even said it in another interview, I said, it's like, it's their wedding, I'm just a guest. But if you invite me and I'm able to also, give my ideas, and to me, the overall goal is just to make a really damn good song, something that you're proud of, something you want to show your mom, your dad, your friends, release and be completely proud of. So whenever I get the chance to really be involved, even maybe helping with the change of a melody or the change of a lyric, or maybe it didn't need a bridge, maybe we should go back to a hook and just arrangement stuff. And when I'm able to get involved with that, I feel like that's when I really have the most fun. Like it's fun to me. It's definitely it's cool to wear that creative hat for sure.
So when you're talking about the whole, arrangement or, changing a lyric, is there like a template that you have for a type of genres, or is it like different every time someone brings on a song?
Normally for like anything I'm doing like urban is mostly the same. I normally rock with the same template just because, you know, I'll be doing mostly the same kind of stuff. But if I know the song beforehand, like if I know the record they're recording beforehand, and I know it's like very specific on certain areas, or maybe I have a client who's an R&B singer, shout out to Severino. His format is very, very like just not your typical format. So you know how you have intro, verse, hook, hook, bridge, outro. Like his can be like intro, bridge, hook, verse, bridge, another bridge. Like it's just, you know. So when I get like him, I have his own template structured to the way that I know he's probably gonna end up, you know, working on the song. So it just depends. It varies, honestly.
I like that. That's like, I'm just thinking like, man, if I hired someone, this is exactly what I want to hear. Like this is the interview I need to have with everybody I step in the studio with.
Everyone is different, man. Everyone's different.
So when it comes to the actual recording though, what are the necessities? Like an artist comes in and says, hey, I'm gonna do vocals. What are the absolute necessities they need to have, be able to do, pull
to me,
off?
the biggest thing to me is like, come prepared. Just as you should expect me to be prepared, I think if you come prepared, and what I mean by coming prepared is, you know, if you wrote that the same day, chances are you're probably going to be doing it over and over in a booth because you're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So like for me, when I say come prepared is like, you know, you already maybe set some time in the last week in practicing the flow, practicing the melody, practicing the falsetto, whatever it is going to be. Just mentally being prepared to when you get there. I think that's when you're gonna be able to get the best performance, and you're gonna also make my job easier to get the best performance out of you. Yeah. So if you just come and you're like, oh, you know, I just wrote the second verse last night, but the first one I wrote 3 months ago, I think when we record, it's gonna show. Yeah. Like it's gonna leave a footprint of like, this verse sounds a lot more polished and just right. Yeah. The second verse kind of sounds like an afterthought, and no artist wants their music to sound like especially an afterthought. The lyrics. Yeah. So to me, it's just like, come prepared. You know, have a good feel for the record that you're currently gonna be working on. You know, don't show up and be like, oh, man, I don't know about this. You know, I don't know about this beat. Let's just change it to a different beat and let's just match these lyrics to it. So to me, that's
you don't want to rush that.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to rush it. To me, you don't ever want to rush a creative process. I tell my clients, I say, if we're gonna go through bumps, we're gonna go through them together, but we're gonna get to where we need to get to. I don't care if we need to go through all these hurdles. Some songs you go through 20, 30 of them. Some songs is a smooth ride to the end. Yeah. But I tell them, no matter what, we're going to get to an end product that you're going to completely be proud of. But you also got to, you know, put the work in with me together, and we'll get there for sure. Through those hurdles, we'll go through them together. But you have to be willing to, you know, put in your part and put in the work and be accountable for it as well. So that we get the best. It's really easy
to kind of want to jump to a shortcut.
Exactly. Or just be like, or just be like, oh, the engineer is gonna. Yeah, I mean, it's not my best performance, but the engineer's gonna make it sound right.
I hate that fucking statement.
I get what I'm saying.
I've heard that.
Can you fix it in the mix?
Oh, we'll fix that in the mixing.
No.
We'll fix it. I'm like, no.
Why don't we fix it now?
I'm a very, very strong advocate in performance.
Right. I don't know who said it, but it makes so much sense. So I will quote the person who said it. It's something like, you need to track like there's no mixing and mix like there's no mastering. So if you track there's no mixing, you're making sure that your tracks are coming in at healthy gains. Nothing's clipping. You use the possibly the best microphone you could for that performer. Yeah. For your client. Or preamp, compressor, EQ, or no compute, no, like you've literally gone through the whole process of making sure that the signal coming in and touching your DAW is the best that it can possibly be. Yeah. I've had records where, you know, I have clients who live 2, 3, 4, 5 hours away, and they get home and they're like, dude, I know that this bridge doesn't sound as good as it should, or this intro doesn't sound as good as it should, and I like that stuff. Where they're like, you know what? Book me next week because I'm going to focus on this bridge and I'm going to focus on this intro. I want to work on this better. Dude, hold off on the mix right now, dude. Yeah. That second verse wasn't it. Or it could be that some people might just be like, I know, it's not as great. He'll fix it in the mix. Just throw a bunch of reverb. Get it out. Just want to get it out. Reverb on it, put some delays on it. I'm sure you can get it sounding right? Yeah. And I'm like, if you want to get the best possible. And I was like, if you think you can do better than that, I believe you, so let's do better than that. That's my statement on it.
Well, it's like if you're paying someone to come do that one thing, do the one thing.
Right.
You know.
The worst thing ever is listening to a record and be like, oh, I hate when this part comes on, because I know I could have done better. Like, are you a guitar player?
Guitar player.
So
and
imagine
singer.
you have this amazing solo at the end of a record, and then you're hearing it, and 3/4 of the way of that solo, you're like, damn, I could have done better. I could have done.
Oh, absolutely.
I could have just finished that so much better. And you wish you could have gone, and maybe the song's already released, and you're kind of like, well, yeah, I should have you should have spoken up about that, and done your best, so that when you literally listen to that record, you're like, that's all of me right there. Like, I'm proud of that for sure.
Well, I'm actually somewhat of a hard ass, and I know that I'm not easy to work with,
right?
Which is why I do everything alone. It's true. I'm not easy to work with unless you're like ready to get very, very serious and precise and things like that. But I mean, I've been playing guitar for 20 years, and I practice every day. I play my ass off, so I say I'm a guitar player. Yeah. And if I write a song that I already know and I've written, I show up to record it, I'm either gonna get it. I'm gonna get it start to finish. I'm not gonna do punches and cut and paste, especially for the fucking back rhythm guitar. And there's gonna be 3 takes. If I can't get it in 3 takes, I'm not recording guitars that day. I'm gonna do something else. If it's written, if it's already written. Yeah. Okay. But if we're experimenting, I mean, playlist after playlist after playlist after playlist, like, of course. Fuck it, right?
You get lost in
that. I mean, and I really, really stand by that. I've been around in a lot of studios. I've worked with a lot of studio musicians, top level, mid level, beginners. Okay. And you can always tell. It's like, it may sound like you're asking a lot, but someone that comes in with a part that's already written and says I do this. Like, you need to show up and you need to do that.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe you're having an off day. Like, vocals are a little different because you can blow your voice out.
You could be kind of coming off a cold.
Absolutely. Like, that's a little different.
That's understandable for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, guitar, for example, like, dude, we got everything you need. You just got to do what you were supposed to do. Yeah. That I do not tolerate that. Yeah. So
it really is like performing. It's high level performing, honestly.
Highest.
It's
absolutely.
just high level performing, and it's like, if I'm sick or I'm catching a cold, and someone booked a session, and I know I can't give you my 100% during your slot that time, I'm canceling that session. I'm just gonna reschedule it with you, because it's almost like I don't want to cheat you out of my 100, and that's the only thing I want to give. It's like, I don't play to not lose. I play to win. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's very important that when you get to your studio, I'm giving you my 100% as I hold you accountable to giving me your 100%, because that's when classics are made. When people are just in their A game and just giving you their all, to me, like, that's when you get like that magic that you feel in the room. But if there's a couple dudes slacking off, or this dude's not taking it seriously as that dude, and to me, it's like, it will never be a cohesive kind of piece. So that's my take on it.
You must have insane patience. I'm sure you've dealt with it.
I'm in a business of patience for sure, though. For sure.
I was playing at Universal Records for a while when I was like 17, 18 years old. And
you were signed to Universal Records?
No. I was just doing some guitar work for them.
Okay.
And the way I did is I would show up like a few times a week around 8 p.m. Okay. And we'd work till like 6 a.m. Wow. And the guy I worked with was the sweetest dude ever. He's a great songwriter. He worked with a lot of big cats, wrote for like big artists. Okay. But it was just kind of one of those things that have songs in the bank. You never know. And so I would show up, and I would sit down, and he'd be like, it'd be me, him, his brother, producer, I guess. Okay. And then the engineer, who's Stuart. I remember his name, Stuart. Curly-haired, hippie dude, but like super nice, super chill. Right. And he would sit there after like 12-hour shift during the day recording the artists. And then at 8 p.m. we'd show up. We'd come in the studio, and then the guy Charles I was writing with was like, "All right, let's write a song." Okay. I'm like, "Okay." He's like, give me a chord. So I would just on the spot write a chord progression. Right. And then he would spend like 2 hours writing lyrics to it. It was what it was.
And how long did you do this for?
I did this for a few months.
Oh, okay, okay.
And Stuart would just sit there. The engineer would just sit there and listen and kind of just not say a word.
12-hour sessions?
Well, after a 12-hour day, he'd be sitting, 2 hours of us writing, and then I would go record it, get it in 2 tracks, And then Charles, the singer, would go in and sing every single word differently, like 1,000 times. And this guy would sit there and eat his Chinese food, have a conversation with me, stay totally calm while dealing with like a stubborn singer all through the night. And I'm like, there is a different breed out there. Yeah. And if you're not that breed, you don't belong behind that desk.
You don't.
It taught me so much respect for the engineer. It's insane.
It's something that, you see, I used to be an artist before, right? So I'm on the other side of the glass. Okay. So to me, I had to kind of learn my way through and, you know, navigate the world of being an engineer, as far as the way people treat you, as far as you should be expected to be treated, as far as what you should bring to the table, how you should handle certain situations. You know, there's situations where your mic might blow out. Well, what are you gonna do? Your XLR might go out, or you can't find your, you know, your DI because the bass player didn't bring his. So shouldn't you have an extra one? Always have extra cables. Like, it's just things that we're like, okay, I should always buy extra cables for situations like this. Oh, I should have done this, or maybe I should have kept my mouth shut during these, you know, during this time, or just things like that. You just learn as you sit, because you imagine, like, dude, we sit through hours and hours and hours of sessions. Like, it's one of those things that you learn as you go. There's been sessions where I maybe said something I shouldn't have said, whether it was jokingly or maybe I try to contribute to an idea where I shouldn't have, because they didn't take it lightly. Or maybe I contributed too much and I completely changed the sound of the record. So it's like you learn these kind of things, and you have to have tough skin and kind of, like I said, hold yourself accountable. It's very important, and you know, you're gonna have a future in this business for sure.
So talk to me a little bit about that switch over. So you were an artist.
Yes.
What kind of artist were you?
So I was making like rap music. I was rapping with a childhood friend of mine that we lived on the same block.
Okay.
You know, his mom bought him KRKs, and you know, you get your what's that mic? Was it Roland or NT1A? NT1A microphone. You know, just kind of setup thing. And you know, he was rapping, and then he wanted to sing, so he started singing on our stuff. We were just jumping on a bunch of like hip hop cover instrumentals at the time. You know, 50 Cent was huge at that time. And he got to the point where he's like, you know, I'm tired of this. Like, I want to work on our own music. So he started making beats, and then he was doing beats, rapping and singing, and I was just kind of like, I'll write my verse and then I'm done. So the way that this kind of all happened was, I just kind of felt like dead weight at one point. I was like, dude, I want to contribute to the group even more. Like, what can I do? And he was like, I don't know how to mix. Our music sounds like crap. So it'd be pretty cool if you learn, because then, you know, we can benefit from it as a group. So I had no idea what mixing was. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm the type of guy, bro, that, like, if I say I'm gonna do something, to me, in my head, in my heart, it's just a matter of time. Yeah. It really is. Unless I'm dead, it's just a matter of time, dude. If I say, and it's not even music related all the time. If I say, you know, hey, in 6 months I want to be in Barbados, I'm gonna be in Barbados in 6 months. If I say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds because I have a wedding and I just want to look the best I can, I'll do it. Like, I know it takes dedication. Like, I'm not afraid of hard work. Hell yeah. I think some people are afraid of hard work nowadays. They like the idea of these things that they imagine,
especially in your industry. Exactly. I mean, how many times have an artist come to you? What was the statement in the DM? Stew time.
Yeah, stew time.
How many times has that person, you know, been like taking that one extra step and realized, wait a minute, this is a lot more than I thought it was.
So I literally just went berserk, bro. I went obsessed. Once I found out what mixing was, I went to the library to look up stuff about mixing. Who goes to the library nowadays, right? I don't even know if YouTube was around yet. It wasn't. I don't know, just internet. But, you know, point of the story was that I just really honed in and just focused completely. Obsessed with the sound. I was just obsessed, dude. I was just like, and then I started looking up like my favorite music, and I was just like Googling who worked on this. Yeah. And I was like, man, that guy worked on this, but he also worked on this. That guy worked on that, and he also worked on that. And I was just like, man, it's almost like a little small community of like 15, 20 people working on the biggest records that are currently out there. Because at the time it was just, you know, the big studio method. It was like Rick Rubin on everything. Exactly, Rick Rubin, all these people, you know, Michael Brower and Tony Maserati, and you name them. I love Maserati. He's got the best freaking plugins. Andrew Sheps, and all these people were just working on all these records. So I was listening, like, it's almost like I even was able to tell who mixed what. It got that serious, dude. I was like, this sounds like a Tony record. Then I'll look it up and like, damn you, Tony Maserati. I know you were involved in this song. Yeah. And I just grew obsessed, and then it got to a point where I continued to work on my music, you know, and be an artist. But then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? Let me start getting a couple people in to my studio, because we got to a point where we started doing solo stuff. We kind of broke up, but it wasn't like
You just stopped doing what you
were just
doing.
Stopped doing. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, you're going your way, I'm going my way. No, it was just mutual, you know. So then all the stuff he had was his mom had bought him, so this studio was basically his. Yeah. So I had to start from ground zero. So I bought all my studio stuff, and then I kept, you know, recording. And then around like 2014, 15, I started kind of like, you know, building the name for, you know, Will. He has a studio. You know, you should go there. This and that. At that time, I didn't really know what I was doing much. I mean, I had the basics down, but I wasn't necessarily good. And then that's how it led. I got too busy where I wasn't able to work on my stuff, my own, like, you know, projects as an artist. I was too busy having 6, 7, 8 records to mix in that month. Yeah. So it got to the point where I had to sit down with myself and be like, do you want to go 100% into being an artist, or do you want to be a mix engineer? And I chose mix engineer, and I went 100%.
So the business background for you, the story of it, at what point did, you know, becoming a mix engineer, what point did that become career? Like, not the decision, but it actually, like, this is what supports me now.
Doing it full-time, 2016.
And you started building your own studio from ground up.
Like around 2013, 14.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
That's fast.
That's a pretty quick turnaround.
That's fucking fast.
Considering you're in the music studio. So
was it hard to find the people in the beginning, or
yes and no? Like, yes and no. Only because, like, mind you, I was an artist already, so I had a lot of friends that made music. So it was kind of like oh damn, so you're doing the mixing thing now. Like, I heard you kind of build your own studio. Like, can we record? And then I remember, like, the first, like, 50 people, I didn't charge at all, just because I wanted to get as many voices as in there as I could, just to 50. Be like, just to be like, what is, and he has a chesty voice. What does that EQ do at 5K, at 8K? What is his nasally voice do with this mic? Damn, he sucks on this mic. Yeah. Not performance wise, but just the mic is doing him no favors.
Yeah.
Damn, when I hear a girl on this mic, it sounds so much better than. So I was just like, literally, dude. Like 50, my house, huh? Yes, like my house was just. People just coming in, and it was just to learn what voices did, what different voices did on that same microphone. I didn't have a bunch of microphones.
Now, did you have a job during this, or were you just?
Oh yeah, I had a job during that. This was like 2012, 2013, right? When I finally like quit like my job, it was 2016.
So you were recording all night then.
All night, dude. My friends wouldn't see me, dude. They wouldn't see me, especially summers. Like, I had no AC in my studio, so it was just basically a sauna made out of sheetrock. That's really what it was.
Shit.
And it was just learning. What? Damn, that's too much reverb. And then like months later, I hear those mixes, I'd be like, damn, I'm so much better than that now. And then 3 months after, I'm like, damn, these mixes are sounding so much better. And that's how I knew I was improving, because every time I would hear my stuff, I'd be like, this sounds like crap. Like, damn, I did this? This is whack. So, like, that's how it kind of just took off. So then I got to a point where it was like, I think I'm good enough to at least charge gas money. Like, that was in my turn, because I was like young. I was like, I need some kind of, income off of it. I feel like I'm providing a service at this point.
The service.
I think it was like $15 per song, $20.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you, bro.
So go to 50 people doing it for free. And then $15
a song. So there's people that would come in and be like,
does that include the mixing?
Yeah, yes. So like, listen, there's people that would come in with like 9 songs and be like, dude, I'm trying to record 4 right now, and then tomorrow I'll come by and record another 5. And it's like, okay, well, that's $150, or that's $100 for like 10 songs and studio time included, and mixing and mastering, like everything included.
Good for you, dude.
And then it just elevated to where I started looking into gear. I was like, this is not cutting it. I had to up my my room treatment. I had to up the gear. I had to up the mics. I had to up the room and treat it, and it just led to more people trusting me, more people wanting to work with me, more people only feeling confident and comfortable working with me, and just kind of almost like they brought their sound to me, and then we almost like, it's like we build their sound together as we grew together. That's why I have some clients that I've worked with for 5 or 6 years. They've heard of my crappy mixes. They've been to the point where they've been to the point where was charging them $20, $15 per song. You know, they seen the gear from when they're recording in a closet to recording on a, you know, full blown booth with AC and a candle lit right next to their chair. So
damn, dude.
Yeah.
So have the rates, like, you know, you do still charge by song?
Yeah, it's still by song. It's still hourly or whatever. Except the only thing that's really changed is for studio time, I do a 2-hour minimum. So you can't book me for 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour in the studio, it's almost like, come on.
So you charge hourly?
Correct. Except for the mixing. My mixing and mastering is a flat rate.
So if I come in and say, hey, I want to record a song, it's not like a set fee, like one song costs this much. It's
no,
like
it's just, it's obviously you have to at least book 2. And then let's say, you know, this song's going to take me 3 or 4. So then just book 4 off the bang. And then,
so from $15 per song, what are you at now hourly?
I'm at $50 now.
$50 hourly from $15. I mean, that jump. That's
a huge jump.
That's a success story right there. That's really exciting.
Yeah, no,
this is very inspiring to me.
No, thank you, man.
I'm very excited for people to listen to this.
It's been, you know, some people tell me, like, some people that either want to be in the same trade as me or be an artist and just, you know, be at a different level. They sometimes ask me, they're like, dude, like, I've been grinding for years. Like, I've been at it for years. But what I tell them is, like, how hard have you consistently been doing it?
Yeah.
Bro, like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I didn't go to prom. I've never been to a club.
Yeah.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. Never been to a strip club. I've never played pool with the boys. I've never gone bar hopping.
Yeah.
Things that people like my age or, you know, starting from my age have done, I've never done. Because to me, honestly, like, music is just all I know. Like, outside of music, to me, is like sometimes I'm almost lost in certain things. Like, some people are like, what? Like, I'm like, I've never done that, dude. Like,
wow.
You've never seen this movie or this The Avengers 3D? I'm like, I just never really watched movies like that, bro.
You don't feel like you're missing out on anything.
No, like, I was in the studio. Like, if I'll catch it, I'll catch it. I don't completely just, you know, slap it to one side and just completely ignore it.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I'm chilling with my girl, my friends, they want to watch something, like, I'll watch it. But for me to really, like, be born out of me, like, today I want to watch the new Spider-Man movie. Like,
so talking about that consistency, that the fact that you stayed consistent, like, what does that mean?
It just really means, like, when you wake up, what is the first thing you want to do? Like, to me, that kind of hunger that you feel, like, in the morning, to me, it's what you should be doing for the rest of your life.
That's a statement right there.
To me, that, like, when I wake up, like, especially now, because
Wow.
I used to have my studio in kind of like this in a built-out place, but mine was in my garage.
Yeah.
I just moved out to a commercial facility June 1st, like, literally June 1st.
Really? Congratulations.
So I'm in Pasadena, and I rent out a room there, you know, in a facility called Music Mind Tracks that's ran by, you know, 2 film composers, producers as well, Alec and Juan, so shout out to them. And it's crazy because now the studio's 25 minutes away instead of in my garage.
Yeah.
So when I wake up, I can't wait to get to the studio. Before, I sometimes would sleep in the couch in my garage just because I'm like, I'm going to be here right when I wake up. It's 4 a.m. Why am I going to undo my bed and wake somebody up? I'll sleep here. So I would just sleep in my couch, in my garage. And now it's like, it's a 25-minute drive. So when I wake up, I miss it. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to the studio.
Wow.
So to me, it's like when you wake up, like that first initial, like, I want to do this. I wish I was doing that. I always tell people, like, that's probably what you should be doing. So you have to build. Like, you have to consistently put the work.
That's something to pay attention to. Because I think, honestly, I bet I know there's people out there that, have a passion for something, but it's not the first thing they think of when they wake up.
They say you have to be obsessed. You have to be obsessed enough to keep going, but crazy enough not to quit.
Yeah.
When it comes to, the music business and just the trade of, being an artist or producer, engineer, a session musician or whatever. I work with a guy named Roberto Valli. He's a session bass player. Mm-hmm. He's played with Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's played with a bunch of people. He tours all around the world. Yeah. He's a very cool guy. And then he tells me the same thing. Everyone I know that does it for a living, they tell me the same thing. Consistent, hard work. Like, consistently. None of this, like, I took 6 months off because, I had to catch up or the life. Like, no, like, they were going at it every day. And when you do that, you're gonna see results, bro. It's bound to happen, but you have to like just keep at it. And that's what I was able to do. I told myself that by the time I think I was 24, I told myself no matter where I was in life that I was gonna quit my job. And that's what I did. I took my mom out to Chevy's in Burbank. I'll never forget it because I was driving and my hands were just sweating. Dude, I was nervous. Just pouring. And I was like, how am I going to tell my mom that I kind of made a deal with myself that at 24, I was going to quit my job no matter where I was, which was tougher because I was already being asked to be promoted.
Oh, wow.
And which would have meant, I'm saying no to more money.
Yeah.
And then sit there and be like, hey, so I'm 24. You already know what I want to do, but my industry is very tough one. It's a very tough trade to make it in. And I know I'm supposed to be promoted, but I'm just going to quit my job. You should tell Dad.
For me?
Yeah, for me, because I already know what he's going to say or try to do. So what you think about that? But, dude, my mom, she was awesome. She was like, I've known since you were 13 that this is what drove you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've seen you work your tail off like I've never seen anyone work their tail off. And she's like,
rock and roll.
She's like, you have my support. As far as your dad, I'll talk to him. But she was just saying, she got really serious and told me, she's like, okay, you're gonna do this, right? I was like, yep. She's like, all right, if you're gonna do it, you better really, really do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you play. I don't play video games like that, but she's like, I don't want to see you playing video games or if you taking have spare trips time, there, then you're doing something wrong. Or you know what I'm saying. I don't want to see you out at the mall all day and doing this or doing that, like extracurricular activities. She's like, I want to see you putting in work.
Yeah,
and that's what I did. That's when I expanded my studio out, worked hard. Bought a bunch of gear, like quality stuff, like stuff that you see in the major studios, what they say. Yeah. And then I just kind of build a name as a guy you go to if you want quality. And then you stay because he's a cool dude to be around. Like that kind of thing. Like, dude's cool, he's funny, and he also knows what he's doing. And the gear that he has in that studio is amazing, and we're getting a deal out of this for sure. Like, we're getting our money's worth, and that's the thing that I think made people just keep going. And as I grew, as their music grew, to me that's the best part, bro. Where I work with clients where their songs just get better and better. Every project we work on gets better.
You get to see them,
their mixes get better because I'm getting better. Like, to me, bro, that is like, I have a client of mine. He's like a brother to me. His name's Ninesome, and I used to work on his 2013 stuff. And when we were in a car one day, we were playing it, and we're like, oh, and then we play like his latest single, on Spotify, and we're just like, dude, we've been working that long. He's seen it all, man. He's seen the whole growth, so it's definitely cool.
Wow, damn, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, to be able to do what you do, you got to have the best equipment, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, shit, if you just went for it, quit your job, went for it, like. I mean, my LA2A was $3,500. Right?
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing to do. No, it's like the only thing I have in my rack.
It's not. I wish I had another one. If you ever want to sell it, let me know.
I'm never gonna sell it. That is I would sell like 90% of this studio before I sold the LA2A.
No,
but that being said, for like a price point, people that are listening that don't know about the studio equipment, coming into that, like acquiring that stuff. Right. I mean, how did you even come? How did that happen?
I recently had to do the math only because I was curious myself, because I kind of got lost in like, dude, like people would hit me up on my DM and be like, dude, every like week I see that you're posting that you got something new from the studio, like
the rabbit hole of gear.
What do you? Yeah, I'm a slut gear. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I admit, I'll be the first to admit. Sometimes, but like I said, I for sure, like, I did the math, just ballpark, but I spent more than $40,000 on gear.
And now, because it happens, like, I just splurge on this, but like that's a big chunk of what your income just goes right into that.
Of course. And the cool thing though was that as my ears got better and I knew what I was listening to and I knew what I wanted, I like to believe that when I track vocals, I have my own sound. Like, I have my own,
absolutely,
my own recipe or my own sauce, what the kids call it nowadays. And as I was developing that sound, I started getting rid of some of the gear I no longer needed because I feel like it wasn't getting me there.
Nice.
And I was able to tell it wasn't getting me there. But 2-3 years ago, I couldn't tell.
So having the knowledge of what you want to hear allowed you to reinvest.
So yeah, every piece of equipment I buy, it's for a purpose. It's because I know what it's gonna work for me in what instances. I know that this mic on anything acoustic, anything percussion. Yeah. This is the kind of color I want. I know that this preamp for these kind of vocalists or this kind of genre is gonna do the trick. Like I have a really cool friend and client of mine. His name's Malcolm. We're working on a couple songs right now, and he has this very deep, like rich, chesty kind of voice. Yeah. And the UA LA610 mic pre with the opto compression on it, it just sounds so good. And I put a 251 on front of him, like a 251 microphone. Yeah. Put it through the LA2A, or sometimes I do 1176 into an LA2A, and it just sits so good. If I put him with a different preamp, is he still going to sound good? Yes. But that one, it's like the shining star of what it is.
It's like that last 1% that even someone doesn't have a trained ear, they can feel it.
Oh, of course.
99% that artist gives what they got, right? Yeah. The right mixing, the right recording, that space, that air between the sound, the microphone. Yeah. That right there, that 1% of knowing what that means. Right. I mean, that will literally bring tears as opposed to not even phased.
Exactly. I get some clients who, like the newer ones that either just recorded at home always or have gone somewhere else, and either one didn't have a great experience or they didn't feel like it was such a dramatic change from what they already had at their home, right? So then they come to my studio and then they hear like the raw vocals, like no EQ, no compression. Just straight. I mean, obviously my chain is analog, and then it hits Pro Tools. Yeah. And then they hear that, and they're like,
"Why does it sound so much better?"
It's like you turn the light on something. They're like, "Dude, like, that sounds crazy." Like they go crazy. Dude, their reaction is always crazy. And then like my rough bounce that they take home, like the rough bounce, are like, "Dude, I thought you said you weren't gonna mix and master. I thought this was your studio time." I'm like, yeah, but I'm just giving you a little rough, like a little EQ, a little reverb on it, tiny bit of compression, just so you can play loud, slap a limiter on it. And they're like, "Dude, I thought this was finished." I'm like, "No, it probably sounds finished because my rough mixes are pretty. I would like to think they're pretty damn good. Yeah. But I was like, just wait till I mix and master it, then we're talking." And they're like, "Dude, this is nuts." So it always makes you, yeah, of course, and that always makes you feel great as an engineer because they leave so happy, like, "Yeah, bro, I can't wait to be back." And
they don't even know how much they're
want to keep hearing their song. Like before they leave, they're like, Can you run it back one more time?" And to me, it's like that. To me, is everything. When you build that kind of rapport, where you make them just like they're like little kids, dude. Yeah. It's like with that shiny toy that they always wanted, and when they hear it through those speakers, I get a rush out of it. It's always
that's
a blast.
So fucking cool because it's like they're giving you a compliment way bigger than they even realize.
Way bigger than any words can say. It's just, you just feel it. You created something for them that means the world to them, and to me it's everything for sure.
It's crazy because like the equipment we have, like if you really, like you said, you're smart about it. You're doing like I have the Genesis big old red mic. It's a beautiful cardioid mic. I love that thing, but I run that just through my LA2A, and I put that right up on my acoustic guitar, and I find the right placement. I place a chair, and I do a track. I have a condenser mic as well, a pencil mic coming through. But those two tracks, I record straight through, and I'll come out here and I'll sit there for a long time because if it's just a track with like layered guitars and they're just guitars only that just need to be like mixed level wise, I very, very, very rarely have to do anything to that guitar. Yeah, if it's put in the right spot of the room, the mic's in the right spot, everything I need is already there, and the LA2A just puts it right there. Yeah. I did a little like a 20-minute documentary. I scored it. Okay. It was just guitar tracks the whole time, just layered. Wow. And I had to do less editing on that than I have on like a 3-minute track.
Yeah. And it's like what's going in matters so much. Like capturing that matters so much that like if you look at my mix template, like there's literally no EQ. There's a little reverb, and that's if the client wants to hear it in their headphones. Yeah. But if you just hear the raw track, you can hear the color and you can hear what that vocal is doing. Especially because I like to compress a little bit on the way in. I'll do LA2A. I'll do 1176. If I need to do like a little guitars. Top end, like a little 16K, like I'll boost a little top end. But other than that, if you just hear that by itself, you're just like, whoa. Like, this sounds finished. Like, when I actually mix it, it's very bare minimum, dude. Yeah. Bare minimum. 1 or 2 EQ moves here, a little 1, 2, 3 dB of compression here. Yeah. little slap delay if it needs anything, and it just sits like where it's meant to, sit. And that's because, like I said, just there's really no algorithm for experience, is what I say.
Absolutely.
It really isn't. And once you know what you're hearing, that's a game changer for sure.
So do you have plugins or equipment that are like kind of your favorites, your go-tos, like
course.
reverb, delay, EQ, all of it.
Yeah, but I'm such a gearhead that sometimes within months it kind of changes.
So right now, what are your go-tos? What's your compressor?
Like analog or plug-in wise?
If I walk in, I'm gonna sing a vocal.
Oh, okay. So I'll probably go I have a Manly reference cardioid microphone, which on vocals, dude, it's my baby. It's my go-to. So I'll do Manly into maybe like an Avalon 737 if I'm doing hip hop.
Almost got that.
Okay, so I'll do an Avalon 737.
Love that thing, man.
And then I also have, if I don't do the Avalon 737, I'll shoot it out with there's a company called Aurora Audio, and they make the 500 series lunchbox called GT500. It's basically like a Neve preamp. It's a Neve preamp.
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then I'll shoot that signal into I'll do 1176 to capture most of the work, and then after that I'll follow it with the famous LA2A,
and then it's into the track.
And then it's in the track.
Wow!
So it's a change, but
holy shit!
Sometimes it gets very, 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 very intricate. Like sometimes I'll do Manly, or I'll do 251 or Manly. I'll do Manly into let's say if I don't go Avalon, I'll go GT500 or the Rupert Neve 511. So I'll go 251, 511. And if you're very sibilant when you sing or rap, I'll send you straight to. I have an analog de-esser. So 250.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I'll go 251.
Oh my god.
Look, I'll go 251, GT500, de-esser, 1176, LA2A, and then I'll do like a Pultec EQ at the end of the chain if I need to do something. So it literally goes through a whole.
Do you do anything after the track is recorded?
Bare minimum, bro.
Is there anything left?
The bare minimum.
EQ maybe?
It just maybe a roll, high pass at 60-80 hertz if there's nothing down there.
God.
Maybe like a notch or two at 250 hertz if it's a little muddy down there, like a dB or two at the most, and then that's it, bro.
Oh my god.
If you go back to my sessions like 4 or 5 years ago and you look at the EQ, it's like it's like 30 moves and I'm cutting 15 dB at 230 hertz. So
that's what I'd pay for, though. If I walked in the studio and I said, "Hey, record me," that's what I'd pay for.
Right.
Like I want to walk in, I want to see the equipment you just described, and I want to see someone like you sitting behind the board saying, "This is what's happening. Do your best."
Yeah.
And I would melt. I would melt like a kid at fucking Disneyland.
No, you gotta stop by one day.
Oh
man.
my
god,
that chain.
That's the chain. That's
and we're just talking about vocals, right?
Yeah, and that's just vocals, dude. So
holy crap.
If I do.
So what about your reverbs and stuff? Is that plugins or do you have like
reverbs? I don't have an analog, a hardware reverb. I don't.
That's a hard thing to pull off.
That's a hard thing to pull off, and I feel like the reverbs are getting the closest. For me, compression, though, as good as plugins have got, just something about
it's not even a question.
Analog compression will make me melt when you're doing it right. Obviously, with the right character, with the right compressor. EQs are getting better, but I have Chameleon Labs 560 EQ that I like to use, and I've done it where I've shot it out with other plugins and I'll play it. I'm like, nah, I still prefer the analog. I've done it blindly where I don't know what I'm doing. I'll have someone just A/B it for me, and I always choose the analog. I can hear it.
Now, is that the overall song, or is that like? Because I mean, for me, like I like to go into the EQ in the system where it's per track,
Yeah, of course.
But if the overall song, like an actual analog EQ, the whole like setting it out that way.
Yeah, like if you put it on a mix bus, then that's affecting the whole spectrum.
That's when for me, that's when I'm like, all right, let's get real serious right now.
Exactly.
What are we putting out?
Like if I put like on my mix bus right now, there's a plugin by Plugin Alliance called the Black Box. It's a saturator pretty much.
Okay.
It's a color thing. It sounds amazing. I also like a Neve 33609. It's a bus compressor, but on the mix bus it sounds really good. If I don't use that, I'll use the SSL compressor. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that. I'll do that, and if EQ moves, I don't like to EQ too much on the mix bus. But if I do, it's broad strokes. It's like I'll take 10K, maybe boost a little curve of like 2 dB there, or I'll cut like 30 hertz because I feel like it's a little bit muddy. That's it. That's pretty much my my mix bus, and then I'll do some Slate Digital plugins.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Virtual Mix Bus, and it's a color thing for me, and that's
It's
what
all
I do on my
preference
mix
and what
bus.
we
Yes.
hire you for.
But like for like right now, like what I'm rocking with reverb wise, I love the what is it Sound Toys. What is it? Little Sound Toys has a plugin. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember it right now. Oh, it's called Little Plate Junior. Dude.
Yeah.
So good. You put it on drums, you put it on acoustic, you put it on vocals, you throw it on.
Some of these freaking plugins,
I've thrown it on a bagpipe and it just sounded
bagpipe?
good. Yes, I've thrown it on a bagpipe and it sounded good.
Some of these reverbs just come in so hot though.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you got to get the right ones. To me,
Yeah.
like I said, reverb is super important. It's the thing that I struggled with the most because it's 3D depth.
I think most people would struggle with that.
It's overdoing it. It's not doing it. It's when to do it, how to do it, how
When
big
to do
should it
it.
be? How wide should your thing be? Should it be mono? Should it be stereo? How do you set your time, your decay, all that, pre-delay, like for a whole year, would just leave the pre-delay alone because I just didn't know what the hell that thing did until I was like, I think I should know what that button on every single EQ,
Reverb,
so, I'll do that. EQ, I like EQ with broad strokes, because I normally record things really well. So
that's the thing.
It's
You
just
avoid it.
I avoid it. It's just broad strokes. I like Neve stuff. Pull text, love pull text. 1176s are for anything pop, rap, R&B. 1176.
They handle shit.
They handle drum bus.
They handle.
You ever
everything.
smack some drums with 1176 on all buttons mode, parallel compression, dude? So So for me, when people tell me like, "Oh, are you analog or you all digital?" I'm a hybrid, dude. I
make shit happen.
Yeah, I tell people when buying equipment for your studio, I tell them if you work from the outside in, then you're good. Because if you work from the outside in, you're making sure that all the stuff that has to happen before it gets to your computer is taken care of, then you're good.
Well, it's like, when you think about it, every time you sit down in front of a mic to perform, like you're trying to. I mean, Quincy Jones says the greatest recordings is capturing a moment.
Yeah,
capturing
it really
that
is.
moment. It's not the best sounding one. It's capturing the moment.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And I like that working from the outside in, like everything on the outside, every step. That's what's capturing.
That's
the moment,
what's capturing the moment.
Who you are.
Exactly.
So,
so I know a lot of people will invest in like, the best drum kit library if you're a producer, or the best sample packs, or the best plugins, or the best because there's so much stuff out there now. It's sometimes it's literally overwhelming. That there's some plugins, to be honest. I'm literally being, this is a confession. I've bought and I haven't even opened yet in a session. I'll scroll through some of my go-tos sometimes. I'm like, what is that? And I click on it. I'm like, I bought this? That's right.
It's like I can do better than that by myself.
What does it do? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just one of those things. So you can get caught up in that game. So I think once you start developing your sound, once you start going to your go-tos, to me, it's clutch. There's people that ask me, like, mix engineer advice and, what mixing-wise, what plugin do you use for this? What plugin do you use for that? And, like, if we're talking plugins, my best advice is learn a channel strip. If you learn a good channel strip, especially like an SSL channel strip, you'll learn about gating, expander, compression, EQ, and I think it even has a de-esser. I'm not sure, but it's like a 4-in-1 kind of thing. And if you learn that, then you pretty much know every single other plugin. They just will sound different according to how well that plugin was made and the algorithms, and then you get really scientific with that.
But see, right there, that reason is why building your physical rack is always going to top everything.
Always. I just tell people, like, running your vocals, your signal, anything through like actual circuitry. Yeah. Like running
the space,
your music, your art through actual circuitry, to me, will just always be king for me. I don't, when I mix, I don't use hardware. I'm not using hardware inserts to mix because recall issues. It's annoying to recall things. Yeah. I've done it a couple sessions and I hated it, and it was time consuming, and for me it was workflow. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, how can I still use analog and be proud of my sound and just be like literally my vocal, bro, is 80%, 90% there when it's recorded on the way in. Literally.
Yeah, as it should be.
It really is. So I started investing in these $2,000, $3,000 compressors, $1,000 compressors, EQs, etc. And then as that started happening, clients noticed right away. They're like,
he's got that one.
They're like, dude, like that last song we did, what was that? I'm like, well, just about a $2,500 preamp, you know. Yeah. Your mic's about $3,000. I mean, my Manly's like $2,800 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you put my mic and that preamp together, that's like $7,000 of equipment, and it hasn't even touched the compressor yet.
Yeah.
And you put that with an LA2A and a Manly, that's like $10,000 in itself. So, you know, like I said, it will never be running.
It'll never let you down either.
It won't. It really won't, because you get to know. It's your toys. You really get to know.
Yeah.
I literally, there's certain clients that I already know their chains. Like if he books, you know, I'm already setting up like an hour before the session, and I know what I'm gonna run his voice through. Like I know, you know, Nisom's vocal, I'll run through the Neve 1073, you know, into an 1176, into a black LA2A, and that's just what really, really works for him. But I'm also not scared to be wrong and be like, man, on this song, it just does not sound good. Okay, cool, let's switch it up. But you have to know when those things are happening. Like your ears have to be there, your experience has to be there.
Well, see, that's the great part. Like someone that's not only incredibly knowledgeable with what you're doing, but like you have all that knowledge, but also have an ear for what sounds good. Because like for me, when I come in the studio, it's like I know when I see the good equipment. I also know what I want to sound like.
Right.
I don't know how to get there with that stuff.
Right.
And it's like I'm just not good at that. I'm good at knowing what I want to hear. I'm good at hearing it, and I'm good at fucking making it happen. I'm good at performing and making it happen.
Right.
When I will come in, I want someone that's just as creative to be like, hey, try this, let's do this, and immediately can go up to the freaking compressor, turn a knob, boom.
Yeah, and I had a client, I don't remember who it is off the top of my head. It was recently, too, maybe like a month ago or something. Yeah. But he kind of has this chain that we've built, and it just sounds amazing on him every single time. Yeah. And he was working on a record that was a little different than, you know, what he normally, you know, works for. He was kind of experimenting. And I set up his chain and put him, you know, he's recording. And then I'm hearing the tracks back. And I'm like, I mean, it's cool. It's good.
Yeah.
But I was like, it just doesn't have that character, that feel that we always get out of this chain. So I just talked to him. I was like, hey, man, like, can you give me like 2 or 3 minutes? I need to change the things up. And he was like, oh, wait, I love that one. I was like, you got to trust me on this one, though. Like, it's just not sounding as, you know, as good. So I was like, I was just looking at my gear, and I was like, you know, when you have that kind of luxury, I'm just looking at my gear.
Looking at my gear.
I think, you know, the, you know, the Rupert Neve 511 will probably do. And I was like, let me try that. And then send the compressors to the same compressors, but just use a different preamp. And then once we did that, and he recorded the first take, and we heard it back, we just looked at each other. We literally just looked at each other. We're like, yep,
that's the
it.
one.
That's it. And you know, you can't be scared to be wrong in times like that. Like you can't be scared where it's like, well, that's his chain. I don't want to throw him off and tell him that I'm going to change it. But you got to step up and know what's good for the record for everyone, and be like, hey, if you build that rapport, like, do you trust me that what I'm about to do, it's going to be better than what, you know, what we're hearing now?
Well, also as an engineer, as someone that runs it and produces and whatnot, like, do you like it when an artist steps in and says, hey, do you think we could try this other preamp or this other compressor?
Love it, because to me, they're honed in on their sound. And, like, I love passionate people. So it's not
insulting. It's the opposite.
To me, no. If they hear something and they're like, dude, I don't know. Like, it's like if they're hearing it and they're convinced, even if I'm not convinced, I want to get that itch off their back and try every single piece of gear that they tell me until they get the one.
Nice.
You get what I'm saying? To me, it's about you. It's your wedding, like I said.
Yeah.
I'm the guest.
That's amazing.
So it's like I've had artists where I've had situations where, you know, there's artists that have a little more background in producing and sound, and they know a little bit about EQ or reverbs, and they hear something, and then they're like, I don't know, I'm not liking it. And in my head, it's perfect for what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know, dude, you think the Avalon, because Avalon's very popular hip hop, R&B preamp. It's huge, right? So like, dude, I've seen this one a lot at other studios. You think you could put me through that one? And I'm like, okay, like, not offended at all. Like, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Shit, I could be wrong. Yeah. So we do it, and then they hear it. They're like, nah, that's not it. Can you go back really quick to what we had first? Okay. Patch it.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, okay, I see. For sure. All right, let's rock.
So that's got to feel good, though.
Oh, for sure.
They get to see exactly what you were getting
But the thing is, no one got offended. No one's feelings got hurt. And
professional environment.
And I respected your opinion. I respected your wishes. But then I also was able to, you know, kind of basically confirm, like, okay, you see. And then when they do situations like that, that's when you start building even more trust with your client. Like, trust is everything. That's when they're like, okay, he knew from the go. He knew this was what was gonna work for my song. So from now on, I'm just gonna trust him even more with everything. And I had a guy on Saturday. He used to live out here. We worked on maybe 6-7 songs. Not a specific project. Moved to Vegas. He said he went to 4 or 5 studios out there in Vegas. And he's like, bro, like, he called me. He's like, I could not get our sound. Yeah. He's like, he's like, for the life of me, like, I would show the engineers, like, the songs that we work on, like, I play it, and then even the engineers would be like, I don't know what he did, bro. Like ask him. And he's like, I'm not gonna ask him. That's it. That's his sauce, man. Yeah. I can't tell him to tell you all the secrets. And then he's like,
there's a reason you came to me.
He's like, and there's the last one that I went to. He's like, it wasn't bad. It was the best out of the other 3. But he's like, it just wasn't GoldMind Studios, bro. Like, it wasn't Will. It just didn't have that stamp. Like, I'm used to my stuff. He's like, sounding like this. Like, he's like, you set the bar at a certain level that if no one's getting near it, I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? He's like, well, how's your Saturday? Sunday looking? I don't work Sundays. It's the only day I take off. Yeah. But for situations like that with a client that I've built rapport with, I'm like, you know what? I'll open up Sunday for you. He drove from 4:30 a.m. from Vegas, drove to my studio in Pasadena, got there at 8:45. He said his session is at 9. He booked me from 9 to 2. And then as soon as the session was over, I sent him the bounce, got in his car, straight to Vegas. Right back.
It's worth it. I mean, shit, if you're running what you're talking about, shit, I would drive from farther.
Dude, right back. And, I have clients from Palm Springs and, Anaheim and Long Beach, generally like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah. But I think if you're really, good at what you do, and it goes back to like what I said earlier, was if you're really good at what you do and you're really passionate and it's just people can see it, right? And you're a people's person, then I think you're gonna have a bright future in this business, like being a mix engineer or just running your own studio or being a producer, anything that deals with you working with other people in order to make a living. You get me?
So once it's recorded, once you accomplish all of this, are you in the process of like releasing songs, or do you just give them their tracks and say do what you want?
Right. So yeah. So once they hired me to mix and master it, and that's done, and then I send it. They confirm it, like no revisions, everything sounds great. I send them obviously their files. If it's label work, sometimes they want the stems, so I gotta print stems, and I gotta do a bunch of stuff. But if it's not someone that's not signed or anything, they just want their MP3 in their wave, I send it out to them. If they have a team, they sometimes share with me how they want to promote it. Like, hey, I'm gonna send you my cover. Can you post it the day of the release? And I'm always more than happy to share the stuff that I work on, because
so you don't lead that side of things.
No, I don't unless it's like with someone like Nine Sun, where we'll brainstorm. We'll even agree on a certain date of the release. We'll agree the way we want to like introduce it to the people or who we want to shop it to. Like when it's someone I've worked with for 7-8 years and he wants me to be a part of that, like I said, I'll go in and join. But I don't get into the business of like telling people how they should promote their song, how they should release it, or when they should release it. Or, Tuesdays people are from 6 to 9, they're online. Like you gotta drop it within that window if you want. Like I don't get involved in that. That's kind of their decision for sure.
That's a whole other world too.
Yeah, that's on the marketing.
That's cool though that you're open to that though.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
really working with that, because I feel like people are so afraid to step outside of what they do.
Yeah, no, to me, I've almost made a living out of living in the uncomfortable, because when you don't know where your income's coming from, ever, because you can be working 4 or 5 days nonstop, and then for a whole week you don't get booked. It's kind of like it can be uncomfortable for some people, but I've been blessed enough where sometimes I'm booked 3 weeks ahead of time, and then by the time that third week gets there, I'm booked another 2 weeks ahead of time. So, but I kid you not, there's times where I'm like, damn, I worked 14 days straight and 2-3 sessions each day. But the next 3 days, I'm looking at my schedule and I don't have any.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen as much as it used to, obviously.
Of course.
But that's something that if you're gonna do it, you gotta be
ready for.
You gotta understand that it's gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
You know, so they say, what they say, ups and downs make W's, and that's I believe in that wholeheartedly for sure. No matter what level you're at.
It's not
It's
not a friendly part of this.
It's not a friendly part of being an artist, and I think you're also in in the music scene as well. So I think you understand that.
I do everything I can get my hands on.
Yeah, you really can, and that's how it is. Sometimes I've been blessed enough to where, I used to be asking people like, do you want to record? Do you want to book studio time? Like trying to get my name, trying to get my sound, trying to convince people, hire me, I'm good, or like let me show you what I can do. But now, just because of, the way I branded myself, the kind of work I put in, I have my website, I have a business card. Don't get me wrong. I think all of that is important if you're trying to run a business. But I always tell my clients, I always say that word of mouth will forever be the best business card you can own. Yeah. Because word of mouth travels like crazy. And that's the reason why sometimes I mix records from out of state. I have clients in New York and Texas, and you name it. They send me the tracks to mix, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, like I said, word of mouth will always be your best business card. So if you're passionate about what you do, and let's not leave out really, really good at what you do, and you're a people's person, like people are gonna talk about you. People are gonna feel very comfortable saying, "I go to that guy." Yeah. Who worked on that song? That sounds amazing.
James' episode, one of your guys, James Thomas, his episode, he talked about his discovering of your studio and how much of a difference it was. Wow. He spoke a lot of positivity about, he went to this person and that person, he just wasn't getting right, and then he found you, and he's like, holy shit, this is the one. Yeah, dude, those are always, like, to me, things that I cherish, like, wholeheartedly, because it's things you worked hard to get there. Absolutely. And then when you hear people just speak nothing but positive things of not just your work but you as a person, it's like, why would you not want to work with that person? Absolutely. So for me, like, it took years and years and years, but I like to tell people that want to do this, like, I'm an example that hard work will pay off, bro. Like, hard work will for sure pay off, and it's always like 100 times over. Consistent hard work. Yeah. Consistent hard work, key. You can give 1,000% for 2 months. Yeah, and then that's it. Nothing could happen. It's the end of the road. But if you're giving 1,000% every day for years, fuck yeah, it's gonna get there, dude. That's rock and roll right there. I would have never thought, I would have been able to be in. I did this. There's this songwriter. He's in Nashville right now, working on he's an amazing producer and songwriter. And the cool thing was, we worked on this record called London Never from an artist he's developing. Her name's Tay, amazing singer, and we got to get John Stamos to play the drums on that. Oh wow! And the crazy thing was, like, oh yeah, he's like, I'm gonna have John play the drums on the record, so I'll see you at the studio Saturday or whatever. I was like, cool. And then like the same morning of, he's like, hey, by the way, John is John Stamos. And I was like. You talking about Full House, like John Stamos? And it's like, dude, he was so cool, like super humble. He dude can really play drums, bro. He's dope. He's so dope. And just like situations like that, like sometimes like we were like taking pictures and stuff, and I was just like, man, I've been able to just meet so many producers, A&Rs, managers, artists, and like I tell my girlfriend all the time, like the very few friends that I have, they're all musicians. They're all music people. It's all, like obviously I have community. My boys from my elementary. Like I have like 3 or 4 friends that I've known since I was 6, 7 years old. Yeah. And those are like my brothers, so I don't even say friends. Yeah. But just like overall friends, bro, like it's people in the music industry, because we talk music, we talk meetings, we talk, what are you working on? What are you working on? Let me show you what I did. Let me show you what, it's just that kind of conversation for sure. That's great. I mean, that's why I do this. That's why I started this show. No, it was literally it's like about bringing that stadium player, right, bedroom musician, right on the same playing field. Yeah. The Hollywood guys, the kids out in the parks filming their little short films. Right. That creative community. That's where it starts, man. I'm telling you, I would stack my computer on like I think like
I think we had bought a TV at that time, and you know, we stacked the TV, we stacked the computer, we stacked the KRK monitors on like the laundromat, and then our booth was in like the storage room. There was paint buckets in there, but we were just squeezing in between paint buckets trying to get takes. So you know, it's when I really sit back and look at it, dude, I'm just like, wow, like I think in this era of just like social media and you know, getting your name out and branding, I think if you really want it and you really go for it consistently, there should be no doubt in the world that you really can accomplish it, man. Like,
and if you're good.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
but if you do that, you're gonna get to that point. If you do that consistently, you're gonna get good, and people are gonna put your trust on you 100%. So it's like a lot of people worry about like, well, what if I'm not good enough? Well, if you work your tail off every day 1,000%,
you're gonna have to be
in 2
good
years,
eventually.
you're gonna be a beast, dude. And in another 2 years, you're gonna be a pro. And then in the other year, you might be doing it for a living.
Yeah.
And never work another day in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. So.
Well, before we go, I want to know what you would tell someone, you know, whether they're 13, trying to start the studio, or whether they're 60 and they said, fuck it, I'm going to start a recording studio. I want to start, you know, mixing and engineering and doing all this stuff. What's the biggest piece of advice you tell someone that wants to embark on that?
In general, I think my biggest piece of advice would be you just have to go for it. You have to choose something. I think the most important part is what is it that you love to do? If you already know and you're not taking action, you're losing valuable time.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if you're 13 and you know you want to shoot movies or you want to do videos, get your little camera and do videos every single day. Then you edit and then you do another video. You didn't like it? Do something else. Do something better. But the thing is, you always have to have a camera in your hand. Work. And if you do that in this kind of, like I said, in this era of social media and internet and promoting yourself, in 5 years, you could be shooting the next Spider-Man movie. Who knows? Yeah. It like that connection, maybe 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe. It's wild. It's impossible pretty much if you really think about it. But in this era, it really isn't. You can go from like this guy holding a camera at the park with his older brother trying to shoot his own movie to 5 years later doing the new Avengers movie or something. Like being the director or being the assistant director or doing the animation for the movie or whatever it is, but being involved in a project like that. So, and if you think about 5 years, someone will go like, man, that's a lot of hard work. You know, but it's like,
was it?
Exactly.
It's only 5 years.
Exactly. And you know how fast that goes by?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm about to be 30 and it blows my mind that I've been doing this since I was like 12, 13, like 7th grade, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on. So that's my advice. It's like, if you already know what you love, like what you want to do, and you're not doing anything about it, you're already making a mistake. Wow. They say if you did a mistake and you know you did and didn't do anything about it, you just did another mistake. That's what they say.
I'm like, it's settling. This was inspiring. I look forward to people out there that are trying to think, should I go for it? Listening to this and saying, I'm going to know if I should go for it. Yeah. Because I fucking wake up and that's what I want to do. That's it.
So if one person out there, I don't care if you're 44, 12, 16, or 21, if you're hearing this or you're watching this podcast, you know, the kind of platform you were able to create with, you know, with this podcast, and they can be like, you know what? I love to do so-and-so, and then today or tomorrow morning when they wake up, they work towards that. To me, it's like, I feel like done, did my job.
Fucking done. Will, I can't thank you enough, man.
No, thank you,
really
man.
Can't thank you enough.
It was amazing.
You brought so much value to this. I'm very inspired, and
no, thank you.
I look forward to having you on again someday.
Oh, for sure, dude. I'm grateful, man. It's been a pleasure, and I love what you're doing. You know, for the creative people to come and share their story, and I think that's the way you inspire. You share stories and someone hears it and they get inspired, and it's just a whole line of inspiration for sure. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Rock and roll, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.